In a first, the US Justice Department has filed a murder for hire and money laundering charges against former Indian RAW low mid-level officer revealed as Vikas Yadav, also known as Vikas and even Amanat, in connection with his alleged role in directing a foiled plot to assassinate Sikh separatist leader Gurpant Singh Pannun. Now, this is the first time a foreign government, at least in my memory and knowledge, that a foreign government has filed a case against an Indian intel person for murder. I'm not counting Pakistan here. Remember that Yadav's alleged co-conspirator Nikhil Gupta, who's 53 years old, was previously charged and extradited to the US on charges contained in the first superseding indictment. The US Justice Department has said, and I quote, Yadav remains at large. So, who is Mr. Yadav? Now, the US document states that he is an assistant commandant of the CRPF who was on deputation to the Cabinet Secretariat, that is the RAW. He has been identified as being an assistant commandant of what the US says is of a 135-man company. Usually it is battalion, and assistant commandants are not in charge of company which is around 100 personnel. Maybe the US meant 135 battalion, but then these are small technical issues. Interestingly, the FBI has put out a wanted list for his arrest and have released 3 pictures, including one in which he's seen wearing army fatigues, that is the army uniform. He also has his name badge and a para badge too. However, he's not wearing any epaulets on his shoulder to show rank. So the question comes to mind is, how did the US manage to get hold of these pictures? I'm assuming that maybe through his social media or pictures he may have shared with Nikhil Gupta. Interestingly, the US authorities have the entire chats the two had, including voice notes. Anyway, what does this mean? The US is now most likely to seek his extradition. One will have to wait and see how this plays out. While both India and the US have extradition treaty, India's demand for several in the US have not been met by Washington, including that of Pannun himself, Tawaru Rana, David Coleman Headley, and some others. So we will have to wait for it to see how India responds. An interesting word in the US indictment is that Yadav has been termed as mastermind of the conspiracy. This is a very key word. This means that the US is designating him as the mastermind, and this means that no more names are likely to come out. I mean, of anyone higher up in the food chain within the RAW and otherwise. Of course, media reports will keep coming out, but from a legal point of view, this is most likely it. As I mentioned earlier in my story, the Indian authorities have informed the US that Yadav went rogue and they have dismissed him from service. Last year, the US charged Nikhil Gupta for conspiring to assassinate the US citizen of Indian origin on US soil, that is Pannun. US Attorney Damian Williams, in a statement, said that Gupta did not work alone, and hence they've announced charges against the Indian government employee Vikas Yadav, who they say orchestrated the plot from India and directed Gupta to hire a hitman to murder the victim. Now he goes on to say, let this case be a warning to all those who would seek to harm and silence US citizens. We will hold you accountable no matter who and where you are. Interestingly, this case has a connection to Canada as well. In about May 2023, Yadav recruited Gupta to orchestrate the assassination of Pannun in the US. Gupta is an Indian national who, of course, was based in India and has described his involvement in international narcotics and weapons trafficking in his communications with Yadav and others, which is now with the US authorities. At Yadav's direction, the indictment says Gupta contacted an individual whom he thought believed to be a criminal associate, but who was in fact a confidential source working with the DEA for assistance in contracting a hitman to murder the victim in New York City. In or about June 2023, in furtherance of the assassination plot, Yadav provided Gupta with personal information about the victim, including the victim's home address in New York City, phone numbers associated with the victim, and details about the victim's day-to-day conduct. which Gupta then passed to the undercover agent. Yadav directed Gupta to provide regular updates on the progress of the assassination plot, which Gupta accomplished by forwarding to Yadav, among other things, surveillance photographs of the victim. Gupta directed the undercover agent to carry out the murder as soon as possible, but Gupta also specifically instructed him not to commit the murder around the time of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's official visit to the United States, which was scheduled to begin on or about June 20th, 2023. On or about June 18th, approximately 2 days before the Prime Minister Modi's state visit to the US, masked gunmen murdered Hardeep Singh Nijjar outside a Gurdwara in British Columbia, Canada. Nijjar was an associate of Pannun and, like the Pannun, was a leader of the Sikh separatist movement and an outspoken critic of the Indian government. The next day, that is on the 19th June, a day after Nijjar's murder, Gupta is said to have told the undercover agent that who he thought was a hitman that Nijjar was also a target, and I quote, "We have so many targets." Gupta added that in light of Nijjar's murder, there was now no need to wait on killing Pannun. On or about 20th June, Yadav sent Gupta a news article about the victim and messaged, "It's a priority now." He is also said to have sent a picture and video of the dead body of Nijjar, which many are saying is a smoking gun. But calm down. This is not the smoking gun. CCTV footage of the shooting showed the gunmen firing at him and running away in cars. Nobody was standing there and taking pictures, at least I mean the shooters. So Nijjar's photos of Nijjar's body most likely would have been taken by bystanders and then shared in groups and on social media. So that is not the smoking gun that many think it is. But yes, interesting times lie ahead. This is Snehesh Alex Philip signing off for The Print. For more such videos, do subscribe to The Print's YouTube channel.